Shabbat Shalom family. Our selection today, Trying to Get Ready.
Trying to get ready. Trying to get ready. Trying to get ready. Yeah, ready to try on my longer wide road.
I'm trying to get
ready. Trying to get ready. Trying to get ready. Yeah, ready to try on my longer wide road. I do believe. Ready to try on my longer wide road. My soul, King Yeshua, shall receive. Ready to try on my longer wide road. Oh, Jordan River is chilly and cold. Ready to try on my longer wide road. And chill my body, but not my soul. Ready to try on my longer wide road.
I'm trying to get
ready. Trying to get ready. Trying to get ready. Yeah, ready to try on my longer wide road. Ready to try on my longer wide road. Ready to try on my longer wide road. Make me ready to try on my long wide road.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication, and all uncleanness, or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame, and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. As it is written, he that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. And the one thing you're going to realize in this walk is everybody does not have an ear. They have an ear physically. But to have an ear means to be able to hear spiritually and deal with the things that we are able to take in. Are we able to take it in spiritually, or just the physical hearing of it? As it is written, not the hearers of his word are justified before Elohim, but the doers of his word are justified before Elohim. Because this is our so-called Black History Month, I decided that we should do the Black history of the Bible. And for that, I wanted to make sure that the children were in here so that some of these things they will catch. I don't expect them to catch all of those things, but it is something that I did want them to hear. Because if you guys have been paying attention, a lot of the teachings about who we are as a people, they are disappearing from all forms of education. They are not trying to teach us about our role in historical events. Those things have gotten a serious bath, if you will, that have washed us right out of it. Even some of the things that our people have created and all of those things are pushed way to the back, so that our people come up with a less sense of self-worth because of the erasing of all of those things. And you can tell the stamp of a people who have gone through some serious things, because only our people will say things like, if we start talking about the Bible, only our people or we will be the most ones who will say, well, it doesn't matter what color they were. You never hear any other ethnic group talk about their history and say it don't matter. No other group of people does that except a afflicted people who have Stockholm syndrome and have fallen in love with their captors. Nobody else says that. Nobody else throws their history down at the same time while trying to say it. They don't say their history and then say, well, it doesn't matter what they look like. How many different versions of Buddha have you seen? Mm-hmm. You seen the black Buddha? Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, when you get right down to it, when they are teaching and pushing forth their culture, they are pushing their culture with an image that appears like them. Nobody else attaches themselves to something that does not resemble them. Yet they keep telling us it doesn't matter what color the individual is. And you find out it doesn't matter what color the person is as long as it's their color. That's what that statement really means. Because you don't find the people who are so-called Jews, you don't find them. Let somebody depict a Jewish person in another ethnicity other than looking white. Watch how they come out. Basically, Whoopi Goldberg said some stuff that, hey, it wasn't racism. They was all white. Oh man, they got. You would think that she said something seriously harmful toward Jewish people, and she didn't. But look how little it takes to talk about somebody else's history, and it matters. But somehow, our people have allowed it to be pressed in our brains that it doesn't matter, when no other ethnic group operates that way. So today's sermon is entitled The Black History of the Bible. When we search for the existence of black peoples in the Bible, many believe that we would have to comb the corners of Old Testament law and prophetical writings to find such proof. The irony is, we find one of the most definitive declarations of blackness in the Bible is located in the portion of the book that most people read, the New Testament. This is surprising, since most of the New Testament was given a bleach bath of an existence as it is taught in black and white churches, white Christian churches. The Bibles that we possessed as children were printed with images, and none of those images were people of color. These false depictions left us with a false narrative that people of color had little or no involvement in the holy story at all. Let's begin today's sermon in Acts chapter 13. And just on this first graphic, you see at least a part of the Holy Trinity of black people's wall. We had Kennedy, King, and Jesus. All right? That's what we grew up with. That's the Holy Trinity of Big Mama's wall. All right? King, Kennedy, and Christ. Okay? And most of us, depending on what age group you were in, you grew up looking at that every day. Acts chapter 13, and we're going to read verses 1 through 3.
Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon that was called Niger.
Now, some people might say that he said that wrong. Because they say Niger. We know a country named Niger. No. That said nigger. So you need to go ahead and get that right there. Let's stop believing that says Niger, and we're going to prove that. Go ahead.
And Lucius of Cyrene and Manaen, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch and Saul. As they ministered to the Adonai and fasted, the Holy Spirit said, Separate me, Barnabas and Saul, for the work whereunto I have called them. And when they had fasted and prayed and laid their hands on them, they sent them away.
Now, why would somebody be called, and why would that be okay that they just call him nigger? Well, see, we have to first understand what the word means. Then we can deal with why they would call him that. Read the definition of nigger.
From G3526, which is Greek in origin, it says niger of Latin origin.
Of Latin origin. So understand, this is a Latin word. Go ahead.
Black.
Black. Stop. It means black. And we can look at amongst us the many different shades of brown that we are. We know some of us are darker than others, and we have been known to call people by their skin color. One of them we'll call black, the other one we call red. We know red light skin, black dark skin. Go ahead.
You know, even when you look at this where it says Latin in origin, what is black in Spanish? Negro.
Right.
Negro.
Right. It threw me off first time I went to the liquor store and found that Modelo Negro. I said, what they say? They got nigga being here? What they get Modelo Negro? What? I was looking at, because I had never seen that beer before. So when I saw it, I started looking at, what kind of store is this? Wasn't nothing wrong with the store. I just had never seen that brand right there. I said, hey, excuse me, when y'all get Modelo and El de Negro? When the hell y'all get this in here? I ain't never seen this here. Right. Go ahead.
You know, you touched on Buddha in your opening. Even with that, you say, have you ever seen a black Buddha? That's how he started out. Just like everything in this scripture, they start whitewashing them.
Right.
What KRS once said, Buddha had natties. But eventually everybody do what? Make their God look like them.
Look like them. Like, you don't see them following no black Buddha.
That's why he bald.
You know what I'm saying? You don't see them putting out their images that they're going to follow in an image that does not represent them. See, that's us having to go back. Just like, hey, we can look at this book and read this book, and they'll tell you that, you know, the Messiah's feet was like burnt brass. Well, how many Christian churches you went to and they had a black Jesus? Okay, so they teach when they are going to deal with something that image has to look like them. Yet they tell us it doesn't matter. There's something wrong with a group of people who says that it doesn't matter when nobody on the earth operates like that. Only enslaved people. Those are the only people who take that mindset, who accept that mindset. They'll try to give that mindset to anybody. You don't see the Arabs worshiping nobody who looked like Puka Johnson. Now, why is that? They're supposed to be all Muslim, right? We have Muslims down the street. So there's something there. So we have to deal with this concept of whitewashing everything, and then when we put it back into context, it does not make you a racist. That's the next thing that happens with us. That when we put those things into context, we are then being accused of racist, or we are anti-Semitic. I could not possibly be anti-Semitic since my people are Shemites, which is what they call Semitic. I can't be anti-me. And the people who claim that we are anti-Shemitic when we say this are not Shemites themselves. Go ahead, brother. Let's go to
nigga.
You finished that?
No, not yet. Nigga, a Christian nigga.
That threw y'all off. He just said that like that. He just started right off with that. You know what I'm saying? And I know people are like, how you just gonna start off the class? He gonna start off the sermon with nigga. How you gonna do that? This how you you get a party started. This is how you warm up the mic. Okay. The mic has been thoroughly warmed. Now we can get into this party. It done been warmed up now. Okay? You know, but I needed to read that in the New Testament. Because see, people are, the first thing they going, because you know, some people ain't going to watch for 5 minutes of this class anyway. Okay?
They already turned it off.
You know what I'm saying? They know what I'm saying? You know, they turned it off at the first nigga. You know what I'm saying? It was no, he's not going to use that word. Oh my God, no, he ain't. No, change that. Go to another website, baby. All right? But we going to get you in the first 5 minutes, you know? We're going to go ahead and get you, you know? We're going to get you right there. So it is what it is. I needed to read that in the New Testament so that people won't think, oh, you know, they're going to all of these things in the Old Testament to pull this up. No. Why would they call him that? Because he was darker than the rest of them. We see somebody, we automatically give him a nickname. A dude walk up. We be like, what up, Black? We don't know his name. That's what they did. So they just called him Black. What up, Black? You see a big tall dude, light skin, big red. What's up? That's just us. Yahweh does the same thing. Yahweh got nicknames all throughout this Bible. Even though we know the people's name, Yahweh give them another name. Yahshua did the same thing. So this is something that is common among our people. So it wouldn't have been something that they would have been, if this was offensive. See, this is why they got to make this say Niger. So they need for you to believe that it was something else. But all you have to do is simply look up the word and you can find out that that's not what that is. Let's go to Acts chapter 21. Acts chapter 21, and let's read verses 37 through 40.
Verse 37. And as Saul was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, May I speak unto you? Who said, Can you speak Greek?
Can I speak unto you? And they asked, Can you speak Greek? Now, if Paul, the Apostle Paul, who they always give us an image of a Gentile, a Caucasian Gentile, would you ask a Caucasian Gentile, can he speak Greek? Why would you ask, would you ask a Spanish man who came up and said, hey, can I talk to you? Would you say, you speak Spanish? Would you ask him that? You might ask him, do you speak English? But you would not ask him.
He gonna tell you off the rip he don't.
If he speaks Spanish. Why are they asking, can you speak Greek? If he is Greek, you don't ask a Greek, no. Can he speak Greek? No, you ask him that if he appears to be something else. So, that's clue number one. That they asked him, can he speak their language? Go ahead.
Are not you that Egyptian?
Now, step number 2. First thing, can you speak our language? Next, aren't you that Egyptian? So the Apostle Paul, who we have been given this depiction of a European Gentile, has been asked 2 questions that give us a definitive statement about his ethnicity. The first one is, are you Greek? The second one, are not you that Egyptian? Go ahead.
Which before these days made an uproar and led out into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murderers. But Saul said, I am a man which am a Yehudi of Tarsus, a city in Cilicia. Now, this is where people get thrown off, because what he's telling you is about his nationality of where he was born. I was born in America. Clearly, I'm different from other people born in America. That doesn't make us all the same because we were born in the same place. Go ahead. A citizen of no mean city.
Citizen, which means you have to treat me according to the law because I am a citizen of this place. Go ahead.
And I beseech you, suffer me to speak unto the people. And when he had given him license, Saul stood on the stairs and beckoned with the hand unto the people. And when there was made a great silence, he spake unto them in the Hebrew tongue, saying,
Now, when he starts speaking, he spoke to them in the Hebrew tongue. Okay? He spoke to them in the Hebrew tongue. So then the question here, they said, are you not that Egyptian? Now, we have to then look at several different things, because sometimes in your mind, you come up with the depiction of what we see in Egypt now. And we have to make a distinction between the people who are in Egypt now and then the people who are originally from Egypt. So let's read the definition of Egyptian. So we're going to look at that in the New Testament and the Old. So let's look at the New Testament definition first.
G124, Ahiguptius. From G125, an Egyptian or inhabitant of Egyptus.
Okay, let's
Egyptian.
go to the next graphic, graphic number 8. We're going to read the definition in Hebrew.
Egyptian H4714, Mizraim. Dual of H4693, Mizraim, that is Upper and Lower Egypt. Egypt, Egyptians, Mizraim.
So then when we get to Mizraim, now we're getting to the genealogy part of being able to trace back who these people are. So if you just deal with Egypt, you're dealing with the place itself. When you go to the definition of Egypt, you then get the genealogy as it corresponds to the people. So you can stay on the surface and all you're dealing with is the place. People move in and out of places. Stone Mountain, which is where we are, used to be absolutely bleach white. Matter of fact, right there on top of that mountain, the KKK used to meet right over there, which is, you know, why when they did the laser show, they always ended with that favorite song, I wish I was in Dixie, yeah! And they showed General Lee riding across the mountain, and he is their hero. So, and all of the streets around there are named after Confederate war heroes. Okay? Understand. So, if you talked about Stone Mountain during that particular time, everybody in Stone Mountain would look different than the way they look now. So that's the difference in mentioning a place and automatically assuming that the people who are there were the people who were there then. We can back up just 40 years and this entire county look different. In the very same places. Did y'all know right down here in the Redan area down there, Atlanta Falcons football players used to live down there.
On Main Street?
Right over there in Main Street. Redan used to be the school that you know, it was high echelon back in the days. Straight hood now. Straight hood. You they welcome you with a beat down at the door. How you doing? You know what I'm saying? You would think he got some gum in his mouth. He just chewing. You like, I get some gum? I ain't got none. What are you chewing there? You. Hey, letting you know what's about to happen to you. Okay?
Isn't there a huge golf course
But
up
see,
there?
huge golf course. That confused us right off the rip. Hey man, who put a golf course in the hood? Because that wasn't the hood at first. Okay?
They keep the grass cut?
That wasn't the. It's nice. That was not the hood then. Okay? That just shows you the different migrations of people. So stop putting, you got to take that thought out of your head when you hear something to then go and look at the people who are there now and automatically make that connection. You're going to make errors doing that. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 10.
All right, we're going to go to Genesis chapter 10. Now that we know Egypt and we have the name Misraim, now we have to look at some different things. So we're going to go to Genesis chapter 10. And we're going to start that at verse 6.
And the sons of Ham, Cush and Mizraim, and Phut and Canaan.
All right, so keep in mind, Israel was first called Canaan land. So a lot of times people are going to tell you that all the black people lived in South Africa. You have to understand that this whole story of the Bible is taking place on the continent of Africa. People want to tell you something different. And if you point out the obvious, they make you a racist. But you're going to have to stand on your culture and stand on your history just like everybody else does. See, when we learn American history, they didn't call it white American history. They just call it American history. But see, when you get to, as we get further along, you're going to find out why they have begun passing laws to say that you can't talk about certain things in school. But we're going to get there. Go ahead.
And the sons of Cush, Seba, and Havlah, and Sabta, and Ramah, and Sabteca, and the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan.
Mm-hmm. And
Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth.
Right. So when we even look at this thing of Cush, we would hear, if you think about, people would use the term Nimrod to explain somebody who was supposed to be stupid. Mm-hmm. And every time they give us an image of Nimrod, he was never a black individual. Because we're talking about the beginning of rulership on the earth. So you need to understand that the beginning of rulership on the earth began with so-called Africans, the people who we call African. That's why you'll hear some people who think that they're being deep. We used to be kings and queens. No, you're not talking about us. No, you're talking about Africans. Mm-hmm. And how we all gonna be kings and queens, okay? That's just like, that's just for all of the Indians, of all of them chiefs. Well, who the Indians is going to help do something if everybody chiefs? No, we're not all kings and queens. Go ahead.
He was a mighty hunter before Yahweh. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod the mighty hunter before Yahweh. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel and Erech, and Akkad and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Mm-hmm. Out of that land went forth Asher, and built Nineveh, and the city Rehoboth, and Calah. And reason between Nineveh and Calah, the same is a great city. And Mizraim begot Ludim.
Okay, so now when we looked up Egypt, we got a name of Mizraim. Now we're running into the name of Mizraim. So now we can directly draw the line between Egypt and Mizraim. Now we know the biblical family. See, we just can't just look up Egypt. You got to go deeper than that. So in the definition of Egypt, in the Hebrew definition of Egypt, we find Misraim. Now we go in the book and we find Misraim. So now we can go a little deeper. Now we had two dots. We just drew a line to the second dot. Go ahead.
And Anmamim, and Lehabim, and Nathahim, and Pathrasim, and Caslahim, out of whom came Philistim, and Cathrohim, and Canaan begat Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth.
Now, these terms are going to make a lot more sense when you start talking about Canaan land and Yahweh telling them to go and remove the people who are in Canaan. Go ahead.
And the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgasite.
All the people that the children of Israel were supposed to get out of the land and then dwell in their place. These are all Canaanites. These are descendants of Canaan who are descendants of Ham. Go ahead.
And the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite, and the Arvadite, and the Zimrite, and the Hamathite, and afterward their families of the Canaanites spread abroad.
Which is just what that said right there. All right, when it says descendants, it's just saying their people. Go ahead.
And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as you cometh to Gerar, and on to Gaza.
And we can look at TV right now and hear them talking about the Gaza Strip. These were the people that were there before there was a so-called nation of Israel. So for people to tell you that no black people lived there, understand something. Originally, that was all that was there. And we're going to get to that. Keep going.
As you goeth on to Sodom and Gomorrah, and Admah, and Zeboim, even on to Laasha. These are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations.
These are the sons of Ham. All right, so all these are his sons. Go ahead.
On to Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japhet, the elder, even to him were children born. The children of Shem, Elam, and Asher, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram. And the children of Aram, Uz, and Hul, and Gether, and Mash. And Arphaxad begot Salah, and Salah begot Eber.
Now, you're dealing with a different branch of this family, all right? So Ham, this was all of his sons. Now you're dealing with Shem and the offspring or the children that came from him. Go ahead.
And unto Eber were born 2 sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Yoktan. And Yoktan begot Almodad, and Sheleph, and Hazar Maveth, and Yira, and Hadoram, and Uzal, and Diklah, and Obal, and Abamiel, and Sheba, and Ophir, and Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the sons of Yoktan. And their dwelling was from Mesha, as you go on to Sephar, a mount of the east. These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, in their lands, after their nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations, in their nations. And by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood.
So then the earth was divided after Noah and his children's children. All right? So then let's go to the next graphic, because in the first thing, as we read about Ham, we then read the descendants of Ham. So now let's see, from Ham came Canaan, and Israel was called Canaan land. So let's read the definition of Ham. Go ahead.
Ham. Ham signifies burnt or black. And this name was peculiarly significant of the regions allotted to his family. To the Cushites, or descendants of Cush, were allotted the hot southern regions of Asia, along the shores of the Persian Gulf, Susiana or Cushatan, etc. To the sons of Canaan, Palestine and Syria. To the sons of Mizraim, Egypt and Libya in Africa.
So understand, when you get ready to put an image in your head about Egyptians, understand what those people look like in its a majority fashion. Of course, there are different levels of different hues, but understand, Ham means burnt black. So if a burnt black person have kids, they are going to be similar to their complexion. Understand that. But we are given some other things, and when we say anything different, or when we prove what is written, you then get the title of being racist. Never let anybody tell you that you, observing your history, that now you are become racist. Other people can tell you that the Confederate flag is their culture. We know that same flag was flying when they was burning crosses in our yard. But they'll tell you it's heritage, not hate. So why does mine get perceived as hate when I speak on my heritage? We didn't burn any crosses in anybody's yard claiming heritage. We didn't go around in white hoods setting churches and houses on fire saying that it was our heritage. So how is it that anybody else can claim the very things that we suffered and call it heritage and nobody says anything? You have to stop being apologetic about your history. You don't apologize for your history. If anything, somebody owes you an apology. Go ahead, brother.
You know, when you look at it, these people are holding on to a lost. When you continue to look at a loss, that means you can learn from it and not make the same mistake the next time around. Mm-hmm. They're trying to let us forget our loss or how we became lost. We'll never be able to correct it. Mm-hmm. Even with the Jewish situation, it was a loss of people, and they're not letting go. Right. Why are we being made to let go of our loss? We'll never learn.
Mm-hmm. Well, you understand that they don't want us to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Because the powers that be want us to keep falling for the same tricks. Otherwise, they got to find new tricks. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 11. Because in dealing with that, we have to bring to light a thing, another aspect of this. Isaiah 11, and we're going to read verses 10 through 16.
And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse.
In that day, all right? We're talking about the return of the Mashiach here. We're talking about the return of Christ. Go ahead.
Which will stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious.
His rest shall be glorious. Understand, Jesse, we're talking about King David's father. Remember, Christ was called the son of David, the son of Dawid. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the Adonai shall set his hand again the second time.
The second time to recover the remnant of his people. So there was already a recovering done of his people in Egypt. So now there's another great recovering that's going to happen. People want to tell you that somehow that took place in 1948 with all the people coming from one place. Well, let's see if the scripture agrees with that concept. Go ahead.
Which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros.
Wait a minute. First of all, the people who come from Egypt and go to Israel, do y'all know that they were like secretly sterilizing those people so that they wouldn't reproduce? So already we find a problem because there's a real line drawn between the Ethiopian Jews and the so-called Jews that are in the land. But the Ethiopian Jews are the only ones that they will accept. But you look at a vast color difference in between the Ethiopian Jews and the people who call themselves Jews in the land. Yet they will accept them because they can't deny them. But look at what they do to them. They have to take a vow to these individuals. They get secretly euthanized so that they can't reproduce. So that way they will never overspread the land with their kind. Go ahead.
And from Pathros, and from Cush.
Cush is Ethiopia. Go ahead.
And from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea.
Okay, so when Yahweh recovers his people, he's going to go get those people off the islands. Tell me what you're going to see when you go recover people off the island. Put the camera right on Kish. Put the camera. Can you zoom in? Can you zoom in? I want you to see what you're going to see when you go to them islands and you start recovering people. It's not going to look like the people who entered that land in 1948. And you see that they're coming from different people. Now, it says Cush, so they're going into Ethiopia, getting his people out. What, he got people in there? Right. Right. See, you go back in their history and you start finding things that they call Operation Moses. Wait a minute, what is that? Well, they just go get certain ones, you know. No, you look too rebellious. You look like you're going to try to keep living your culture, not you. You. Yeah, you look like you're not going to do nothing at all. We ain't going to have no problem with you. Come on in here. What? Right. They know that these people have been scattered. So even the prophetical writings are talking about gathering the children of Israel from all these other places, not just one area. Go ahead.
And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcast of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth.
Now he goes even deeper, that he's going to go to the four corners of the earth and go get all of those people. You see these ships? Those ships spread us all over the globe. We're in those various slave trades. We were transported into all these places. And Yahweh and Yahshua is going to go get his people out of every last place where they have been scattered. You must stop apologizing for understanding who you are. Go ahead.
The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Yehudah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Yehudah, and Yehudah shall not vex Ephraim. But they shall fly upon the shoulder of the Philistines toward the west. They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. And Yahweh shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea. And with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the seven streams, and make men go over dry shod. And there shall be an highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it was to Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt.
Right. So then Yahweh is talking about this great exodus that must happen again. But this is not an exodus from one place. See, this is where you have to be able to connect the dots of your history. The first exodus, all of Israel came out of the same place to go into the same place, into one place. Okay? So then the people who wanted to take that culture took that mindset. They all came out of one place to then go into Israel. That's not the prophecy. The prophecy is they're coming from all these different places to come to Israel. See, the lie that has been given us in his story, not history, his story, it does not line up with Yah's story. Okay? It does not line up. So, do I become racist when I mention that? You can call me whatever you want to call me. But if you claim that you believe in the Torah, which is the Old Testament, then I'm going to bring you to question in the Old Testament, because it does not agree with the his story that you are trying to tell me. So either the book lying or you lying. And why am I perceived as an aggressive individual when I call you to question on the book that is in your hand? I didn't go and find a book. I didn't go get some obscure something in the back of some old library and say, well, look, we'll read this then. No, this is the book that you have in your hand. You brought this book. How am I wrong for questioning you in the book that you have in your hand? Let's go to the next graphic. Shinar equals Babel or Babylon. One of the things that we read here when it talks about recovering all of those people are some from Elam, and it's at the end of verse 11. It says, and from Elam and from Shinar. So when you look at Shinar, you then deal with Babel or Babylon. When you deal with the first natural place of Babylon, it was modern day Iraq. When you deal with ecclesiastical Babylon, now we deal with Rome and Europe. who then had the offspring called America. Understand something. So the America is a country that was birthed out of Europe. It was their colonies where they basically wanted, their dirty work to be done. Go over there and do the dirty work and then just send the money back to them. So understand something when you go and you read Shinar, understand what it is referring to. So now let's go to the next graphic and let's read the definition of Cush, because we saw Cush as a descendant of Ham. Go ahead.
Cush, H3568. Probably of foreign origin, Cush or Ethiopia.
Ethiopia. So when we talk about he's going to go to Cush and go to Ethiopia and get his people out, understand what those people look like that he's going to get. All right? You see the little curls over there and the one on the right? It look like Snoop Dogg. Step up in this mother sucker, just a swing in my hair. You understand? Understand what these people look like. Leah said they put the little sticks and curl the little sticks and just do that to their hair. I used to go to a girl named Keita who did mine. Go ahead, bro.
The name of a son of Ham and of his territory. Also an Israelite, Cush, Ethiopia.
All right, so now let's go to the next definition, and this is the Brown-Drivers-Briggs definition. Read that.
Cush equals black.
Say it again.
Cush equals black.
Okay, go ahead.
A Benjamite mentioned only in the title of PS7, noun, proper masculine. Second one is the son of Ham and grandson of Noah and progenitor of the southernmost peoples located in Africa.
Right. What they want to make you somehow believe that there are no black people in the holy story of the Bible, when the basis of this story is all about you. It is taking place in Africa. Do not let anybody tell you something different. And Africa is not a country, it is a continent. Having many countries.
The biggest.
Correct. The biggest. They depict Africa smaller on the globe so that people don't know how big Africa is. When you can fit several other continents inside of the landmass of Africa. But they won't show you that on a globe or on a map. You'll just see the shape of Africa, but it won't tell you the true size of it. Go ahead.
The people descended from Cush. 4. The land occupied by the descendants of Cush located around the southern parts of the Nile, Ethiopia.
All right, so now let's go to Exodus chapter 2. So then we know what Cush looks like. We know what Ham looks like. And a lot of times what people want to say is this is your interpretation. That's what happens when people don't agree with you.
They say, you know what? You're doing that eisegesis or something, ain't you? You doing that with that? I don't agree with that.
It's not what I want.
Tell the maker of the dictionary that. Don't tell me. Because I didn't write the dictionary. Tell them they're a part of eisegesis. Don't tell me. I just read it. I ain't write it. Let's go to Exodus chapter 2, and we're going to read verses 11 through 19.
And it came to pass in those days when Moshe was grown, that he went out unto his brethren, and looked on their burdens, and he spied an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, one of his brethren. And he looked this way and that way, and when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand.
You know, when we read this, a lot of times the images that we are given, because we know what Moshe lived to be like 120 years old. They always show us the old Moshe. But when you look at you like, hey, this brother here buff. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying he killed the brother and hid him in the sand. Hey, brother was working with something. We don't get that image of Moshe. That's not the image that we get. But we talking about young Moshe, one who just come over and beat somebody to death, and then dig a hole and put them in it all in one day. I don't know if you ever dug a hole. I did one, and I dug a little hole, and I needed a nap about a half a day. I don't know about y'all. I felt bad for the brothers on the chain gang when I did a little work in my backyard, and I was like,
Somebody just wake me up tomorrow.
I wasn't no more good that day. Work was very difficult. Go ahead.
You know, you mentioned about the young Moshe, and all we depict as the old Moshe.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that he was considered to be Pharaoh's grandson. Back in those days, the leaders went to war. It's not like today where you sit in your country and send the troops.
Right.
So Pharaoh had to have skills to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And if he was considered the grandson of Pharaoh, so he was going through training as well.
Yes. The best training. He had the best trainers. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 13. And when he went out the second day, behold, 2 men of the Hebrews strove together. And he said to him that did the wrong, Wherefore smiteth you your fellow? And he said, Who made you a prince and a judge over us? Intend you to kill me as you killed the Egyptian? And Moshe feared and said, Surely this thing is known.
Now, did you notice they were able to differentiate between the Hebrews and the Egyptian? That guy knew, the Hebrew knew that who he killed was an Egyptian. All right, go ahead.
Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moshe. But Moshe fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian. And he sat down by a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water, and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away. But Moshe stood up and helped them, and watered their flock. And when they came to Reuel, their father, he said, How is it that you're come so soon today? And they said, An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds.
Now, Moshe is a Hebrew who was raised by Egyptians. They are looking at him and they have mistaken him for an Egyptian. Wait a minute. Ain't that the same thing that happened with the Apostle Paul?
Mm-hmm.
That they made a assumption that he must be an Egyptian.
Mm-hmm.
Egypt is derived from Ham. Ham means burnt black. Connect your dots. Go ahead.
And also drew water enough for us and watered the flock.
All right, is that it? You finished that?
Yes, sir.
All right, now let's go to Genesis chapter 42. See, I know normally the kids are not in here this week, but I figure, you know what? Y'all need to be in here this week. Genesis chapter 42, and we're going to read verses 1 through 8.
Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, Why do you look one upon another? And he said, Behold, I have heard that there's corn in Egypt. Get you down thither, and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die.
Now, in times past, these brothers, these Israelites, sold their brother Joseph to some people, and he ended up in Egypt. Go ahead.
And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with his brethren. For he said, Least peradventure mischief befall him.
So when he says least peradventure mischief will befall, he has already lost this one son, and he don't know what happened to Joseph. Mm-hmm. Okay? So he's afraid to lose this youngest one. So he don't want to send him. Go ahead.
And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth.
Now, they believe that they are bowing down to an Egyptian. It was their brother's dream that they were going to bow down to him. They got mad at him and sold him. Now, here they go bowing down to him, not knowing that it is their brother that they're bowing down to. And you know, we're given other images of Joseph. This is him standing up, and he got his swole on, right? Y'all do understand Joseph did time, just like some other brothers accused of rape. What? We gonna talk about history? Let's go ahead and talk about it. How many brothers done did time for rape and ain't touched nobody? Hey, you talking about this brother here done did some time. So yeah, he got his swole on. Sale block C, what the business is? Who want it? Go ahead.
And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, Whence come you? And they said, From the land of Canaan to buy food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew him not.
Check this out. They don't recognize their own brother. They believe he's an Egyptian. So, if Joseph looks so much like an Egyptian, then the Egyptians and the Israelites look alike. They can't tell the Egyptian from their own brother. He recognizes them because understand something. They dropped him off. He's younger. He's grown into a man. They ain't changed that much. They was already grown. Oh, he looking at them. Oh, I know y'all. I remember y'all threw me in that pit. I know you will. I know you will. Yeah, I remember one of y'all made me look the other way and the other kicked me in. I know it. I know it. Then you took my pretty coat. You took my pretty coat. I remember you. See, he remember them. But he has grown. He has grown into a man. He ain't the little boy that they was able to slap around. Go slap him around now. See, he got them guns. He said, come slap this. Go ahead.
That was it, verse
That was
8.
it? Uh-huh. So now that we have seen that this is several times, an Israelite has been confused for an Egyptian. An Egyptian who is descendant of Ham, which means burnt black. Okay? So, one time people can, that was just, they probably misprinted it. The Bible got upside down and they printed it wrong. See, that's what happened. All right, so did they print both of them? So now that we have that, we must then make the distinction between ancient Egypt and modern day Egypt. Now, we should be at graphic number 18. Modern day Egyptians are ethnically Arab, a far cry from the ethnicity of the ancient Egyptians. Arab was introduced after the Islamic domination of Egypt that saw a cultural, religious twist from Christianity into a predominantly Islamic kingdom. Ancient Egyptians were people indigenous to the Nile. They belonged to the Nile Valley, ethno-cultural entity. The Nile Valley is one of the oldest inhabited regions in existence. Originally, the Nile Valley was dominated by Lower Nubia, later Upper Egypt. Let's go to the next graphic. All right, brother, read that.
Around 3000 BC, the kingdom from the south, Upper Egypt, marched north and conquered the region, subjugating the north culturally and politically. Today, ancient Egypt is a melting pot of races and cultures from Libya, Turkey, Persia, Greece, Rome, Arabia, and native Egyptians.
So, when you decide to go on the internet and look up an Egyptian, do not get thrown off that you're going to see these images. Do not mistake them for ancient Egyptians. Go ahead.
The northern part of Egypt was more vulnerable to foreign occupation. That is why northern Egyptians today look quite different in appearance from southern Egyptians, who are more related to the people of Sudan.
More related to the people of Sudan. All right, so let's go to Exodus chapter 6. See, there's a reason why we started. I know I shocked a few of y'all starting off. I know y'all was thrown off, and and if you had people that you said, y'all should watch class, and then we start off with that, they like, oh my God, the day I tell them to watch, they start off with that.
So this ain't the black history we thought we was gonna get. I just thought we were just gonna hear something about Sojourner Truth or something.
Right. See, that's the kind of, they just want to talk to you about, oh, we invented this, or we did. No. We're going to take this history a little deeper. Exodus chapter 6, and let's read verses 1 through 8.
It's funny that you say take it a little bit deeper, because it's almost as if we had no history before coming to this place.
I'm so glad you said that. Because in the eyes of the oppressor, you did not begin until we enslaved you.
See, the only reason you have a history, is because we put you in chains and put you on a ship. Before that, you would have just been running around butt naked picking apples in Africa.
That's what people want you to believe.
You would have been still trying to figure out how to make the wheel.
You can believe that if you want to. Because half the stuff that the West have stolen came from Africa. To this day, the very things that all y'all want, a cell phone and a tablet, what do you think they get all of the things to make that? They go and steal it out of Africa. It has every natural resource needed to make all your modern day things. So without Africa, there is no iPhone.
So I'm getting a brand new iPhone.
Okay, yeah. You mean they went to Africa, stole all the stuff, and then shipped it to China and then made the iPhone. Understand that? Go ahead.
Exodus chapter 6 and verse 1. Then Yahweh said unto Moshe, Now shall you see what I will do to Pharaoh. For with a strong hand shall he let them go, and with a strong hand shall he drive them out of his land. And Elohim spake unto Moshe, and said unto him, I am Yah. And I appeared unto Abraham, unto Esaac, and unto Jacob by the name of El Shaddai. But by my name Yah was I not known to them. And I have also established my covenant with them, to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their pilgrimage, wherein they were strangers.
Okay, I have also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan. So the land of Israel that was first called the land of Canaan. So we have to keep connecting these dots. Okay, go ahead.
And I have also heard the groaning of the children of Israel, whom the Egyptians keep in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant. Wherefore say unto the children of Israel, I am Yahweh, and I'll bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I'll rid you out of their bondage, and I'll redeem you with a stretched out arm and with great judgments. And I'll take you to me for a people, and I'll be to you a El, and you shall know that I am Yahweh your El, which brings you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. And I'll bring you in onto the land, concerning the which I did swear to give it to Abraham, to Esaac, and to Jacob, and I'll give it to you for a heritage. I am Yah.
I will give it to you for a heritage. So you know that same thing that people say about their flag that enslaved us? They said that their slogan, that it's heritage, not hate, right under what is called the rebel flag. It is a rebel flag. They fought against the Union because they wanted to maintain slavery because it was the way in which the South made its money. They call it heritage, not hate. But that flag says, we wish you were still slaves. Because this is when we were at our richest. But of course you're rich if you have a job or you have a business, but you don't have to pay the people who work for you. That is an amazing business. It has no reason to ever falter. Because that means all the profit is yours. All you got to do is keep these people alive. So, understand that. Did you get to the end of that?
Yes, sir.
Let's go to this next graphic here, and I want you to read that.
Canaan land, land of the blacks.
Now, understand something. When we talk about Canaan land, this is what was given or the promise that was made unto Israel. So you need to be able to put it in your mind. They are coming out of Egypt, Ham, burnt black, and they look like these people as well. And then they're going into Canaan. Wait a minute. Canaan is a descendant of Ham, so they black too. So understand the three entities that you have in this scenario. You got Egyptians, black people. You got Israelites, black people, who running from Egyptians, black people, to go to Canaan land, black people. And then they got to get Canaan up out of the land, black people, so then they can inhabit Canaan land and call it Israel, black people. Okay, go ahead, brother.
Canaan land, land of the blacks. The land that we call Israel was first called the land of Canaan or Canaan land. This land was inhabited by Hamites, or the people that we would call Africans today. We must not forget that Ham means burnt black. And Canaan is a son of Ham, and Canaan's sons are the ones from whom this land derives its name.
All right, so now let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28.
You know, brother, isn't there some maps out there where that's actually listed as Negro land as well? Mm-hmm. And we know what Negro means.
Right. Yes, 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 yes. There are maps, brother, that they clearly say it's Negro land. And then there are definitions that will tell you the difference between the Negro and Africans. Oh, they tell you the Negro, not the African. No, they black, but not that kind of black.
I think is what the...
See, that's when we learn. Oh, wait a minute, that's a different kind of black. What's that, brother?
I say, isn't that like one of the old encyclopedias where they have a definition of Ham? It says, black, and then it says not the Negroes.
Right. You know, that's the days when we used to have Encyclopedia Britannicas in the house. They probably done tried to set them on fire.
He's like, if they find this, oh my goodness, what were we thinking putting this in here?
Right, right. You know what they were thinking? Make sure they can't read. That's why you go back and find stuff in them old books, because you were never supposed to read anyhow. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if you will not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh your El, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command you this day.
This is why we are so pinpoint on following the culture that was given unto us, because we suffer punishment for not following the things that was given unto us. So then when we do that, then people think that we have some kind of problem. That, oh, that must be a cult. Understand, there are curses written that will come among us if we don't walk in this culture. So ain't no need of us reading the part verses 1 through 14, because that's all the blessings. Because that's all we want to talk about. Ooh, I'm blessed. Too blessed to be stressed. Ooh, I'm so blessed. Ooh, look at the beans. I'm blessed. Look at that. Blessing. Blessed. That's all we want to talk about. But what's happening to us starts at verse 15. Go ahead.
That all these curses shall come upon you and overtake you. Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the field. Cursed shall be your basket and your store.
Right. And if you pay attention, they've started to shut down grocery stores in black neighborhoods. Are y'all paying attention? You have to go further and further to get to some of the grocery stores. It used to be a store right here. They used to have another Walmart. You know something strange when Walmart start closing. Walmart, this is the biggest devil in town. When they start shutting down Walmart, then they shut down a Kroger right down here. So then, if you can control where the groceries are coming in that area, all you got to do is block off the people getting to that, and you can starve them out. That is a tactic of war. That is the logistical part of war. See, the part of war, does way more than just firing bullets. If you can prohibit them from getting supplies, then you are already having war with your enemy, though you have not fired one shot. If you can keep him from getting milk, bread, and eggs, he ain't got much energy to fight. He gonna be the easiest dude to beat up in town. He hungry, he tired. That's gonna be a quick fight. See? Go ahead, brother.
You know, as you say that, we never stop to think about it. I'm thinking about it now. As soon as they've got a problem with a opposing force, nation to nation or country to country, what's the first thing they get together? Let's impose sanctions.
First thing that they do, start cutting off supply lines. These people get oil from this place, cut it off. Why you think those nations stack all their stuff? So that when it comes down, and they make other agreements with other countries, so that when they have a conflict with this country and they decide to cut off their oil or cut off their supply or cut off money, then they can do the things over here with this country. But that is their part of war, cutting off the resources that go to that country. They've been trying to do it to Iran for forever. And they keep finding a way around it. Go ahead.
Verse 18. Cursed shall be the fruit of your body and the fruit of your land, the increase of your kind and the flocks of your sheep.
Cursed shall be the fruit of your body. You look at the things that our kids are having to endure by those evil beasts that rid us of our children. They call them police. Go ahead.
Cursed shall you be when you come in, and cursed shall you be when you go out.
Now, this doesn't mean that all the police act that way, but it is what it is. And then they have a code that protects them. It's basically gang law, that you protect the gang that you're in. So even when people see wrongdoing, they are not pushed to tell the truth, because then they have violated the thin blue line. That's a game. Go ahead.
Yahweh shall send upon you cursing, vexation, and rebuke, and all that you set your hand onto for to do, until you be destroyed, and until you perish quickly, because of the wickedness of your doings, whereby you have forsaken me.
So not walking in the commandments is equal unto wickedness and forsaking Yahweh. People don't want you to know that because they want you to stay subjugated. But the way that you step out from among this subjugation is walking in the law and getting those curses off of you. Go ahead.
Yahweh shall make the pestilence cleave unto you until he have consumed you from off the land, whether you go to possess it.
All right. Jump to verse 58.
Verse 58. If you will not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book.
Okay, so understand. So Yahweh goes through all of these things, but then he makes a pinpoint statement. Because a lot of times we get that question, why were we made to be slaves? Because it was Yahweh's way of punishing Israel. He said, I created you to be my servants. You're either going to serve me or you're going to serve your enemies. So pick you this day whom you are going to serve. But you are going to serve somebody. Do you understand that? You need to get that through your head. You're either going to serve Yahweh or you're going to serve your enemies. But you are created to be a servant, but a holy servant. So serve in holiness. Go ahead.
That you may fear this glorious and fearful name, Yahweh your Elohim. Then Yahweh will make your plagues wonderful, and the plagues of your seed, even great plagues, and of long continuance, and sore sickness, and of long continuance.
And we know that everything that just so happened to come up, just so happens to come up harshly among us. And you got half of these people, and one of the brothers sent a text this morning, and it was Bill Gates saying, yeah, it looked like, the part of the corona is dying down, but there'll be another pandemic in 2 years. Right. He gave his other prophecy about this one. Was it a prophecy or a promise?
A plan.
You see? Now look at all these people. They've got 70-something% of the earth vaccinated against something, and now they finna move to something else. But this is why you learn to wait. They put all of this stuff out there. All these people went and got their shots. Then they put some stuff in printed news. You know, the way corona works is it keeps replicating. And you know, that's like roaches. They just keep multiplying. You know, I saw one roach and now I look back and it was 10. What are these roaches doing? Well, what corona does is replicate. So it keeps multiplying in your body. Guess what causes it not to replicate? CBD oil. Okay, so let me go a little clear. You know that stuff that we call... Maybe I should let the Jamaican explain this. There's this product that grows. Some people call it cannabis. All right, so there's this product that you ever wonder why them club dudes ain't got sick? Ain't nobody figure that out. Why the club dudes? These dudes be in the club every night. Ain't nobody got on no mask, and they all over the place. Ain't nobody got sick. Why? Cause they. Your turn. But everybody else getting shots. But the club dudes ain't got sick. Right. But you don't want to put poison inside your body. And Pookie had the remedy right there. Woo. Right. Now, please don't think that I am doing a commercial. All right, now I got to go ahead and put, hey, in the media department, get the word disclaimer and right there, just take it right across the bottom of the screen right now. Disclaimer. We are not promoting any product. You know what I'm saying? This is why I need a legal team to just, this is not an endorsement of any product. Esaac does not endorse cannabis. You know what I'm saying? Right. Then somebody get caught and they gonna mention my name in court. Yeah.
Your Honor, Esaac told me.
What? No, I didn't. So let's go ahead and clear that up right now. All right? Go ahead, bro. Where we at, man?
Verse 60.
All right.
Moreover, he will bring upon you all the diseases of Egypt, which you was afraid of.
Right. And they make these things so that they will cling unto us. But understand something. That's the punishment of our God. Mm-hmm. Because we have allowed some people to talk us into walking against the culture. Go ahead.
And they shall cleave unto you. Also every sickness and every plague, which is not written in the book of this law, then will Yahweh bring upon you.
Exactly. So he's talking about, look, they're going to create viruses. They're going to create diseases just for you. They're going to call it the Israel subgroup A. Here, let's get this group here. Yahweh the one said, yeah, I'm going to let them do it. Why? Because you got to learn how to walk in your culture. You have to learn who you are created to serve. Go ahead.
Until you be destroyed. And you shall be left few in number, whereas you were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because you would not obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim. And it shall come to pass that as Yahweh rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so Yahweh will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught. And you shall be plucked from off the land, whether you go to possess it. And Yahweh shall scatter you among all people.
Now, remember those images of ships that were going all over the earth? That was the promise that's given. In Isaiah 11, that was the promise of the regathering. So Deuteronomy 28 is the promise of the scattering. Isaiah 11 is the promise of the regathering. Go ahead.
From the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there you shall serve other gods. which neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Even wood and stone. Wood is the cross. Stone is Islam, because they worship the rock, the dome of the rock, which is supposed to be an asteroid that fell from heaven. So you got wood, which is Christianity, and you have stone, which is Islam. The two biggest religions that our people are caught up in. So let's go ahead and tell it like it is. Christianity and Islam is a part of our curse. Do you understand that coming out of those false teachings was you coming out from under parts of the curse? But you know what we do? We get parole and go right back to the jail. Excuse me. Hey, what y'all doing in there? Can I come back? I don't know if I like being free. Now I got to decide what time to eat. I'm used to y'all ringing them bells and telling me. Right. You've been institutionalized. So you want it that way. Then there are people who come into the truth of the word, but they want it to be delivered like it was on Sunday morning. So then they get mad at teachers like me. Oh, no. Right. So we want the truth, but with a lined feel.
I mean, tell me the truth, but just sprinkle some lies on it. You know what I'm saying? Season it.
That ain't gonna work. Go ahead.
And among these nations shall you find no ease, neither shall the sole of your foot have rest. But Yahweh shall give you there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And your life shall hang in doubt before you, and you shall fare day and night, and shall have no assurance of your life.
Now understand something. If Christianity was done without all the things that they threw in it, it would not have been such a curse. But because there are so many things of the worship of other gods that were pushed and placed in it, it has become a part of a curse for us. Even the worshiping on Sunday. Yahweh told us to remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. We can go back to written documents by the so-called Catholics where they changed the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday. That's in writing. We don't have to go and think. We're talking about hundreds of years after Christ, they changed the Sabbath. We got that in print. So it's not a figment of our imagination. They wrote it down. We know the council, that the name of the council when they got together to do it. And we know this because they wrote it down. This is their documentation, not ours. Go ahead.
In the morning you shall say, would Elohim it were evening. And at evening you shall say, would Elohim it were morning. For the fare of your heart wherewith you shall fare, and for the sight of your eyes which you shall see. And Yahweh shall bring you into Egypt again with ships.
He shall bring you into Egypt, which is bondage, again with ships. Understand, when they went from Israel, went from Egypt to Israel, they walked. He's saying this next bondage that you're going to go in, you're going to get placed on ships. Ain't that how we got here? You have to ask yourself, how did the so-called Jews, the 1948 Jews, how did they get to Germany? How did they get there? Well, supposedly, they were supposed to have come from Israel. So how did they get from Israel to Germany?
2 o'clock bus.
You know? Something, they got martyred there? What happened? How did they get there? You see? There's some things that don't add up. But when you bring to light the things that don't add up, now you are being called racist names. But all I can say is sticks and stones. Call me whatever you're going to call me. But let's deal with what's written in this book, though. If we're going to reason together, let's reason out of this book. Let's not reason according to our feelings. Go ahead.
By the way whereof I spake unto you, you shall see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
And I always ask that question, at what point were the 1948 Jews sold to anybody? And he said again. So you cannot mention or even claim the situation in Egypt, because they are coming out of Egypt. He's talking about something that will happen after Egypt. Pay attention, connect the dots. Okay? So if all you have to mention is Egypt, you're missing one instance, because this is being given as they are coming out of Egypt. They're already out. And he's giving them this. So this is a future situation. So what situation do you have after Egypt where you were sold as slaves? I can't find one for 1948 Jews. But I find many of them for us. Understand that. All right. Go ahead, brother. We're going to go to this next graphic. And I want you to start reading this here, because a lot of the things that we were getting, some of these laws that were being passed, you need to know where those things were coming from. So we should be on graphic number 24. Go ahead.
The 1619 Project is a long-form journalism endeavor developed by Nicole Hannah Jones. Writers from the New York Times and the New York Times Magazine, which aims to reframe the country's history by placing the consequences of slavery and the contributions of Black Americans at the very center of the United States national narrative.
Now, this caused some issues. People did not want those things to be connected together. But understand that this country was built on slave labor. While we are given the belief that we have a lower sense of value here, there is no America without us. Go ahead.
The first publication stemming from the project was in the New York Times Magazine of August 2019 to commemorate the 400th anniversary of the arrival of the first enslaved Africans in the English colony of Virginia.
And understand, that ain't the first time that so-called black people were here. Understand that. Go ahead.
These were also the first Africans in mainland British America, though Africans had been in other parts of North America since the 1500s. The project later included a broadsheet article, live events, and a podcast.
All right, let's go to the next graphic.
The project has sparked criticism and debate among prominent historians and political commentators. In a letter published in the New York Times in December 2019, historians Gordon S. Wood, James M. McPherson, Sean Wellentz, Victoria E. Bynum, and James Oakes expressed strong reservations about the project and requested factual corrections, accusing the project's creators of putting ideology before historical understanding. In response, Jake Silverstein, the editor of the New York Times Magazine, defended its accuracy and declined to issue corrections. In March 2020, the Times issued a clarification, modifying one of the passages on the role of slavery in the American Revolution that had sparked controversy.
Right. There were, one of the things that was written was about their fight in this whole revolutionary thing was to preserve their way of life in slavery. And people kind of argued about that Britain wasn't going to care if slavery went on somewhere else. They just didn't want it to happen where they were physically. Go ahead. Let's go to the next graphic.
On May 4th, 2020, the Pulitzer Prize Board announced that they were awarding the 2020 Pulitzer Prize for commentary to project creator Nicole Hannah Jones for her introductory essay. In September 2020, controversy arose over changes that the Times had made in the published text without accompanying editorial notes. Critics, including Brett Stevens of the Times, claimed the difference showed that the newspaper was backing away from some of the initiative's more controversial claims. The Times defended its practices.
All right, next graphic.
The 1619 Project was launched in August 2019 to commemorate the 400th anniversary of the first enslaved Africans arriving in colonial Virginia. In 1619, a group of 20 and odd captive Africans arrived in the Virginia colony. An English privateer operating under a Dutch letter of marque, White Lion, carried 20 to 30 Africans who had been captured in joint African-Portuguese raids against the Kingdom of Ndongo in modern-day Angola, making its landing at Point Comfort in the English colony of Virginia.
Right, and you see that there are, these plaques that are placed along places to commemorate certain events, and we'll just drive by those things and never pay them any attention. Next graphic.
Although the project places this moment in the context of slavery in the colonial history of the United States, some have taken issue. The first enslaved Africans actually were brought to North America in 1526, and European enslavement of Native Americans has been documented as far back as Columbus in 1493.
So you find that the whole thing of them coming here to do these things is they wanted other people to do the work. So they're trying to find different groups of people that they may be able to enslave. It was very difficult to enslave the natives because they knew the land like the back of their hand. They could take off in the middle of the night, leave and go left and show back up to you on the right. They say, oh no, we can't, we got to kill them. This dude called the wolf by name, They say, oh no, this ain't gonna work. Now these people know the terrain too much. We have to get some people who, even if they tried to run away, they wouldn't know where they was running. Go ahead.
There's also some evidence for free Africans from Spain among Columbus's crew. The project dedicated an issue of the magazine to a re-examination of the legacy of slavery in the United States at the anniversary of the 1619 arrival of the first enslaved people to Virginia. This framing challenges the idea that American history began with the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776.
So then you have to deal with those things. Listen to these numbers. The signing of the Declaration of Independence, 1776. All right, go ahead.
Or with the arrival of the Pilgrims in 1620.
Arrival of the Pilgrims, 1620. But then this arriving of slaves predates all of it. So then what was the building block of them? The slaves. You look at those dates. You got 1776, the signing of the Independence, Declaration of Independence. You have Pilgrims, 1620, but then you got slaves, 1619. Next graphic.
It leaves to wonder, how do you make a place attractive if you know when the terrain was just wilderness when you first showed up? You bring them slaves over, you build it, and then you have something that now show the Pilgrims, hey, this is what's going on over there.
Right. Somebody got to clean this up. Go ahead.
The project quickly grew into a larger endeavor, encompassing multiple issues of the magazine, with related materials in other Times publications, as well as a school curriculum developed in collaboration with the Pulitzer Center. With support from the Smithsonian, the project recruited a panel of historians to research, develop, and fact-check content.
Now, this is what really caused people some issue, because these are all people who have some connection to these cultural events that have happened to black people. Now you got those people together as a force to be reckoned with. Instead of a bunch of separate people doing something, these people get together to form a stronger force in dealing with this project. Go ahead.
The project was envisioned with the condition that almost all of the content would be from African American contributors, deeming the perspective of black writers an essential element of the story to be told.
Go ahead. Next graphic.
August 14, 2019, magazine issue. The first edition appeared in a 100-page issue of the New York Times Magazine on August 14, 2019. It included 10 written essays, a photo essay, and a collection of poems and fiction, with an introduction by Editor-in-Chief Jake Silverstein as follows.
Now, I want y'all to pay attention to some of these things. These are the titles of these essays, all right? Now, this, if you saw the copy of that book, the 1619 Project, I'm buying several of them. And I'm going to make my kids read parts of it to me, okay? Read these things here.
America wasn't a democracy until black Americans made it one. Essay by Nicole Hannah-Jones. American capitalism is brutal. You can trace that to the plantation. Essay by Matthew Desmond.
Now, this is something that Lael is doing a documentary on. This writing right here. Go ahead.
How false beliefs and physical racial difference still live in medicine today.
Right. They used to say that black people don't feel pain, so they can just do other stuff to us that they wouldn't do to other people. And some of those things are still being practiced. Go ahead.
Essay by Linda Villarosa. What the reactionary politics of 2019 owe to the politics of slavery. Essay by Jamil Bowie. Why is everyone always stealing black music? Essay by Wesley Morris.
So much and so that our people will listen to certain music and we'll say, oh man, that hard rock music, you know what I'm saying, that's white people music. They don't understand. That was our music. If you listen to the biggest heavy metal artists, they'll tell you, oh no, all our roots is in blues. We got all that from the blues, all that guitar playing, all that was us. But see, they took music out of schools. I learned how to read music in elementary school. I learned how to play the trumpet in elementary school. They took that out of school. Go ahead.
How segregation caused your traffic jam. Essay by Kevin Cruz. Why doesn't America have universal health care? One word, race. Essay by Janine Interlandi.
So then you have to ask yourself, this means that if there is universal health care, then they would have to care for black people. People who they don't want to care for. But this is supposed to be the richest country on planet Earth. But anytime something happens, there's this major fight about these things. See, we have to be able to deal with these and understand why some of those things are happening. Let's go to the next graphic.
Why American prisons owe their cruelty to slavery. Essay by Brian Stevenson.
Right. If we do our history, we find out that the prison system does not show up until slavery is so-called ending. So now we are portrayed on every news station as these thugs. They mention that word referring to us. There was not an industrialized prison complex until they freed slaves. It was made as a way to control black people. You need to know that. That's what these various essays, that's why we're taking our time and listing the names of these things. Go ahead.
The barbaric history of sugar in America.
Right. That sugar crack corn. And to this day, that sugar caused all that problem in our community, and it causes all that problem in our body. How is it you can go to the ethnic aisle in the store and buy sodas that have a regular cane sugar in it, where the Mexicans buy their soda? Then you go on the regular aisle and pick up Coca-Cola and it's got that high fructose corn syrup. In other words, it's got sugar cracked corn in it.
That's what's in the tea at McDonald's.
See? So they give you the sugar cracked corn. But then the other ethnic groups can go 4 aisles down. And mind you, it's not on the same aisle. Then you find out they even have Coca-Cola that ain't made from sugar cracked corn.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Mm-hmm.
I saw a whole nother Coca-Cola down there on that aisle. I said, wait a minute. Why they got Coca-Cola on the taco aisle? I said, wait. Who buys tacos and Coke on the same aisle? That prompted me to want to read this Coca-Cola. It's called Coke Earth or something like that. I said, what? Yeah, you read it. Oh, no high fructose corn syrup. Oh, so you don't want them to get diabetes. Just us. Right. Go ahead.
Essay by Khalil Gibran Muhammad. How America's Vast Racial Wealth Gap Grew, by Plunder. Essay by Tremaine Lee. Their ancestors were enslaved by law. Now they're lawyers. Photo essay by Geneba Aduyam, with text from Nicole Hannah-Jones and Widzaniai Mihot. A new literary timeline of African American history, a collection of original poems and stories.
And I have this on Audible, which I will be playing later on today while we eat. I'm just gonna put it on and play some of the things in this 1619 project. Go ahead.
Clint Smith on the Middle Passage, Yosef Komunyaka on Crispus Atticus, Eve L. Ewing on Phyllis Wheatley, Reginald Dwayne Betts on the Fugitive Slave Act of 1793.
Now, understand, this is why this is becoming so dangerous. All of this is collectively in one thing, okay? This has caused issues because now we as a people don't have to go running around to all these different places to learn this. They took all of these things and put them in one place. People are now getting afraid because even though you go and you take all of this out of schools, a person can go get one book and be up to speed. Go ahead.
You think they're happy with Jake Silverstein?
Hey, bro. One thing for sure, somebody gonna look. I got to earn my way back in. Go ahead.
Barry Jenkins on Gabrielle's Rebellion. Yasmin Ward on the act prohibiting importation of slaves. Tahimbia, yes, on Black Seminoles.
Y'all know we quickly say, saying I got Indian in my family.
Go ahead.
Darrell Pickney on the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863. Z.Z. Packer on the New Orleans Massacre of 1866. Ya Giazi on the Tuskegee Syphilis Experiment.
Right, which is one of the basis things of why black people have the most problem with going to the doctor, because they experimented on us. And this was not the name Tuskegee Experiment gives it it diminishes it. Why? Because guess who was behind the Tuskegee Experiment?
CDC.
The CDC. You know the same people that told you to get the shot? Yeah. Were the same people who were experimenting on us. And it was also backed by the U.S. Health Department. So by calling it the Tuskegee Experiment, diminishes it. It should have been called the Tuskegee CDC U.S. Health Department Experiment. Let's go ahead and put it in there. And then one of the individuals who paid for it was one of the people of one of the stores that we used to buy all the time. Roebuck, Sears and Roebuck. That's how we got everything. Let me go. You need what? Let me go to Sears. See if they got that stuff you need. Individuals were funding this, and then the government picked it up. Go ahead.
Jacqueline Woodson on Sergeant Esaac Woodard. Joshua Bennett on the Black Panther Party. Lynn Nottage on the birth of hip-hop. Kiese Lehman on Reverend Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Coalition speech. Clint Smith on the Superdome after Hurricane Katrina.
All right, let's go to the next graphic.
The 1619 Project. A bill now exists seeking to censor My 1619 work from other Iowa public school students is shocking and sad.
Now, schools are starting to pick up this, which this is what you're starting to see the other laws passed about. They are afraid of this collection of work being taught to children. So they want to make this book illegal. Go ahead.
Attempting to control what teachers can teach in the name of patriotism is seeking indoctrination, not education.
Right, they've been doing that, but go ahead.
Arkansas State Representative Mark Lowry, Iowa State Representative Skylar Wheeler, and Mississippi Senator Angela Burks Hill, who introduced the bill seeking to ban teaching the curriculum, did not respond to requests for comment. Stephanie Wager, the president of the National Council for the Social Studies, said that she sees a little bit of irony in the bills. While Republican lawmakers usually champion the right to free speech, they're now attempting to quell dissenting voices in the classroom, she said.
Right. The same ones that talk about free speech, when it's us doing the talking, now they want to shut down free speech. Next graphic.
Dr. Cleopatra Warren, a high school economics and history teacher at Coretta Scott King Young Women's Leadership Academy in Atlanta, who is also a teacher fellow with the Pulitzer Center, said the proposed legislation felt like an attempt to other black children reminiscent of slave codes, black codes, and Jim Crow laws which forbade blacks from reading, writing, or learning about their history, she said.
So they are doing the very same things that they did before. They're just finding a way to keep you from learning those things, including knowing who you are in this Bible. Go ahead.
Preventing teachers from using the curriculum promotes a singular narrative that centers whiteness, she said.
Next graphic.
President Jefferson said the female slave is way more profitable than the male.
So you have to think about the mindset of our community and where this comes from. Now, this is one of their founding fathers. This is one of the heroes that we learn about in U.S. history. They don't call it white history. They call it U.S. history. So in U.S. history, you need to understand what some of those U.S. historians had in thought process to us. Start that from the top.
President Jefferson said the female slave is more profitable than the male, as she will produce a child every 2 years, and her profit far outweighs his. The teaching originated by white America that black were originated from an inferior race of people gave them the wall to hold up their cruel treatment against the slave they owned.
Right. So by imagining us as a different level of a human, then it's okay if you beat them. It's okay if you rape them. It's okay if you kill them. It's okay if you hang them. It's okay if you maim them. If you cut off body parts, it's okay. They're not really human. You need to understand that. So while we go to school and they teach us about, these individuals, they make sure they leave out the statements that these individuals made concerning us. Next graphic.
While the debates over some of the history bills have erupted into typical partisan arguments, including a Texas Heroes Act that is now before the Senate and initially sought to downplay how slavery was a driving force in the Texas Revolution, the proposed legislation to create an 1836 project has received support from both Republicans and Democrats.
So you can make a project as long as you are agreeing with the narrative of God Bless America and no place else. But if you begin to tell the truth about how they derived at some of these things, now your project is going to be outlawed. Okay? The bill drew inspiration from Donald Trump's 1776 commission, which similarly called for patriotic education about United States history. It was derided by scholars and canceled by President Biden on his first day in office. Wow. So we then see that this war is a war against the mind. It is a war against the how history is going to be taught. Which is why I said, you know, I'm going to get this book physically. I'm going to get several of these books. And I'm going to have my children read these things to me. Because when we get down to understanding and dealing with our history, we cannot allow somebody else to tell us that by reading these things and trying to understand these things that somehow we have become racist. What is happening is other people are feeling sensitive about their involvement and their family's involvement. So they don't want us to read it because we are going to learn deeper about their involvement and what happened unto us. But that's what history is. And don't allow anybody to make you apologize for your history. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.